It is the last weekend in July 2018. Week 7 continues. The Red Blacks and the Tiger Cats, first place in the East on the line. I know it's early in the season. The wind is blowing. Kind of cloudy, overcast day, but this could be and should be a good one.
Yeah, both teams looking to set the tone. Trevor Harris coming off a career-high 363 yards and leading the Red Blacks to a comeback win over BC last week. Hopes that's one of those galvanizing kind of wins for his team. And, of course, his favorite target, as usual, has been Brad Sinopoli. 171 receiving yards last week, a career high for the Peterborough, Ontario native.
The elephant is no longer in the room.
No, the elephant has been traded. And the guy wearing his jersey, number 2, used to be number 80 here in Hamilton, Chris Williams, adds yet another speedy receiver to that Tiger Cat offense. And a veteran presence over on the defensive side, true professional, productive player from the defensive end spot, Jamal Westerman, also coming over in the Johnny Manziel trade.
Dave Foxcroft is our referee. He has the camera on today here at Tim Hortons Field, and we have to pin the ball to tee it off and kick it off here. Here we go in the hammer. Deontay Spencer with a little room and a good starting point for Trevor Harris and his high-tempo offense that played comeback football a week ago against the BC Lions in the final 2 minutes, pulled off the W.
Well, and it seems like so many of the questions surrounding the Red Blacks and Trevor Harris in particular has been about getting it done at crunch time, and Trevor Harris sort of responded to any of his doubters, any of those questioning him last week. Masterful drive put together to engineer the winning points in that game against the Lions.
The hometown Cats won the toss. That could be significant. They deferred, the wind blowing heavy right now with the Red Blacks in his first quarter. Harris, quick hitter right away up near the 50-yard line to Greg Ellingson. They tried to strip him of the football, but good luck with that one. Ellingson, such a sure-handed receiver.
We'll take a look at this Ottawa Red Blacks offense. One change, they're juggling the ratio a little bit, so starting 2 Canadian receivers. Austin Hartley joins fellow Canuck Brad Sinopoli in the receiving corps. Along the offensive line, status quo as it was last week. Jason Lauzon-Séguin started the season on the injured list, but he is back rock solid at the right tackle spot. Quickly
a first down at the midfield stripe for Harris. Throws it out to the hitch. And Deontay Spencer will lunge forward for almost 8 yards on the play. And this is how the Ottawa Red Blacks operate. Quick, fast. And it's going to be up to this Hamilton defense to react.
Certainly will. A defense that's happy to welcome back Adrian Tracy to his defensive end spot, as we mentioned off the top. We'll also see Jamal Westerman in that D-line rotation. Don Unumba has helped solidify the nickel linebacker position. In the secondary, big difference from last year. They've had a lot of stability. Same group starting again. That includes first-year man Jamal Roll on the corner.
Harris against his body against one of the top performers of the week. Brad Sinopoli fumbled and looked like he pounced on it and lost his lid. But Brad Sinopoli had a monster game a week ago against the BC Lions and is off to an all-star start.
Yeah, Sinopoli has been tremendous thus far in 2018. 6 second down catches for Sinopoli in last week's game alone.
Red Blacks just in 4th gear already in this opening drive. We chatted with Trevor Harris yesterday about this high-tempo offense and the way they like to move and navigate. And it seems when they are fast, they are better.
Yeah, and I understand why you want to pick your spots and not necessarily use it all the time. But you certainly do see a difference in the way they operate and the way it puts the defense back on their heels.
4-man rush. Harris, pocket closes, down he goes, and Big Teddy Laurent has the first sack of the ball game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And for Laurent, his 3rd sack of the young season will bring out the kick team.
Always a beast. Ted Laurent playing on the nose. Just gets lined up slightly to the A gap. Taking one shoulder of that center and guard. 38th career sack for the big fella.
So the rookie kicker with the wind from the 42. Lewis Ward has been money and remains that way. Has made 11 in a row, has only had one miss, and has not missed inside the 47-yard line for the Ottawa GG kicker. The Red Blacks move quick and score quick. And guess what, Hamilton? It's now Jeremiah football in the Hammer. To you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. On this somewhat sunny Saturday afternoon, Jeremiah Masoli, it is now officially your car. You have the keys.
The guy who has taken every snap at quarterback for the Hamilton Tiger Cats this season.
Masoli to throw right away, and going deep, and out patterned, and making the catch, and a beauty, Jalen Saunders in this sprint team turned receiving corps.
Well, that's it. It feels a little bit like instead of a football, Jeremiah Masoli should have a baton that he's passing around with the speed in that group. Jalen Saunders, definitely one of the burners, 1,000-yard receiver last year, goes and gets this one. Fantastic concentration.
Again, Masoli has been the starter, and again, Johnny Manziel now in Montreal. Shadow was being cast, but Masoli was performing at such a high level, like right here. Again! Back to back, Jalen Saunders. Big gainer, 23 yards.
Well, we should have a nice view of Jalen Saunders just getting in between levels here, behind the first level defenders, in front of the second level. Defenders caught in a bind as Rico Murray has another receiver in behind him, so he's got to hang back. Wait for that ball to be caught and come up and make a tackle. Back-to-back big plays for lucky number 13.
44 yards already on 2 catches from Jalen Saunders to the 30. 1st and 10. Masoli throwing again to that wide side, and Brandon Banks. The twin turbo boosters out there as well, with Banks and of course the newcomer, who is actually an old comer coming back to Hamilton in CW, Chris Williams.
Yeah, Chris Williams, former Rookie of the Year and most outstanding special teams player during his couple of years as a Hamilton Tiger Cat at the start of his career. He joins that receiving corps. Rashad Lawrence also in for Luke Tasker this week with the trade of Tony Washington. Part of that deal with Montreal. Avery Jordan, the rookie, gets the start at left tackle.
Masoli pitches one over the top. Sean Thomas Erlington has had an impact. Last year's 6th round pick. Former Montreal Carabin Vanier Cup champion.
We'll take a look at that Ottawa defense. One change in the starting lineup. George Uko will get the start at defensive tackle. We'll still see Michael Clausen as part of that rotation. Linebacking core, Kai Hebert. He doesn't like Hamilton. Apparently we'll have a little more on that later. In the secondary, Antoine Pruneau had a big play a week ago, forcing a fumble.
John White, former Eskimo. John White, the 4th. Pounds it down inside the 10-yard line. As the Cats look to answer that field goal and maybe even try to take it to the end zone as he gets some help here. Keep in mind, there's no Tony Washington anymore for this Hamilton Tiger Cat offensive line.
Yeah, changing things up. And Landon Rice, of course, the other player along with Washington and Manziel, dealt to Montreal, played a lot of snaps. Hamilton is a team that frequently played with 6 O-linemen on the field in tight end formations. Rice was usually that guy.
Free one here, maybe. 2nd and 4. And to the end zone. Oh, what a catch by Mike Jones, but out of bounds.
Massive style points, but no touchdown.
Looked like the Red Blacks had jumped offside. There was no flag on the play. So the Hamilton crowd wants the team to go for it, but June Jones on 3rd down and 4 is sending out his kicker. What a catch by Mike Jones.
Yeah, great effort. Trying to go outstretched with that one hand as he's trying not to get too much of his momentum carrying him out of bounds, but unable. to slow it down in time.
Lirim Hajrullahu, chip shot, and it was blocked, and it will go to the end zone for just a single point. And low trajectory kick from Hajrullahu, only his second miss of the season. That was blocked. And the Rouge for the Cats. Trevor Harris, big week last week, comeback week. Will bring his offense back on the field here in Hamilton.
Rose is the man of the moment. He came clean off the edge to get a hand on that football and deflect it wide. Keep an eye on Rose on the very left side as we see it from referee Dave Foxcroft's angle. Essentially, if you can, that's a single wing side. Usually if you can, you kind of have double duty over there for Nick Shortle, the man on the wing, to try and get a piece of that guy.
William Powell up the pipe. See how those 2 points that were taken off the board on a real chippy will play out in this game. Two teams that have traditionally played very close football through the years since Ottawa came back into the CFL. In fact, they're 5-5, and 8 of those games of the 10 have been decided in the final 3 minutes. We'll see if that plays out today. 2nd and 6 for Harris. Sends out 5 receivers, and Mr. Dependable once more, Brad Sinopoli, the Peterborough native, the former Heck Crichton Trophy winner. And for those of you watching on ESPN2, the Heck Crichton Trophy honors the best college player in Canada, university player, very similar to the Heisman Trophy. Sinopoli, though, was a quarterback at the time for the University of Ottawa Gee-Gees.
Yeah, and again, 171 receiving yards for him last week on 11 catches.
Oh, high snap. Harris has got to run for cover and cover. A big oopsie.
Creating second and very long as the snap just got away from the center, Alex Mateus. And Harris basically just looking to preserve possession, knowing the Ticats are all over him. It's one of those situations as a quarterback, you know you're on your own because your O-linemen who are blocking, they haven't seen where the ball's gone, but the D-line has.
Harris going deep. And second in an area code. Now they'll boot this ball again with the win past the midway point of this opening quarter. For Campbell and the Ottawa REDBLACKS, who have alternated wins and losses in the early season, but chatting with the coach yesterday at 3-2, he's always divided, as most coaches do, this 18-game schedule into the 6-6-6, and he knows how important this one is early on.
Yeah, looking to get that good start, and obviously an opportunity to come through the opening third, a couple of games above 500. Put a little distance between themselves and the rest of the division as well.
Richie Leone almost had that blocked. In fact, they may have got a piece. Frankie Williams returned one last week against Saskatchewan. Good starting point for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who haven't had too many in this early season. They've got a familiar face back. Former All-Star has Johnny's number now. A lot of number 2s in the crowd.
It's Chris's number, buddy.
Chris's number now. Matthew Shinetti has more in a moment. Old stomping ground. Chris Williams a few years ago wore number 80 here. Of course, left to the NFL, ended up in BC and Montreal and Ottawa. And now he's wearing number 2, which has been the hottest selling jersey in Hamilton for some other reason, of course, but it now belongs to CW. Here's Matthew Shinetti.
Absolutely, Rod. I guess a lot of fans who bought that number 2 jersey are going to be going to the Ticat shop to adjust it to Williams. But the fact is, for those who remember, Chris Williams made his name in the Canadian Football League on this spot in a different, obviously a different stadium, an old Iverwin Stadium. But when he came in here and he saw the updated facilities, Williams just smiled. Everything that happened back in 2013, all the dispute over his contract, that's all in the past. And the one thing he told us earlier this week is he's not worried about trying to win over fans who used to routinely boo him here. He says, I'm back and I'm happy to be back, because with Terrence Oliver out, still dealing with some knee issues, the fact is Williams was injecting this offense right away. And June Jones said, I like him. He's smart, and I know the player I'm getting, guys.
Masoli off to a good start. Mike Jones brings it in. Well, June Jones and Chris Williams crossed paths before in the college days. Hawaii, of course, where June Jones was. New Mexico, where Chris Williams was. And like the golf game as well. Chris Williams, by the way, got a Grey Cup ring in Ottawa with the Red Blacks after he did not play in that game, of course. Tore his ACL that year.
Yeah, and both Williams and Westerman. Hamilton adds a couple of great professionals, obviously very good football players, but guys who are going to make not just your team better on the field, but going to improve your dressing room as well with their
Procedure.
leadership.
60, Hamilton. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
What did you think when you broke that trade, partner? When you heard about the names that were mentioned? I mean, I know there were some people here who wanted to see Johnny Manziel and all of that, but to get those caliber players back for the Hamilton Tiger Cats?
Yeah, I think it speaks to a couple of different things. Obviously, a situation in Montreal where they want to make a push. They're anxious to make a push and an aggressive move. And you have to give something to get something.
Over the top, Masoli. It's again Brandon Banks. There's so much speed in that receiving arsenal.
Brandon Banks lines up as the number 2 receiver. In this instance, soft spot in that secondary, sits it down, working back to the football.
Second and 1, John White backfield. Takes the rock and picks up the first down. 3.5 to go in this first quarter. John White knows what Chris Williams went through, but he went through 2 devastating injuries as an Edmonton Eskimo. Ruptured Achilles and a torn ACL a couple of seasons later. A lot of players never recover from those type of injuries.
Yeah, well, and especially when so much of your game is quickness and change of direction as it is for John White, but he's battled his way back. And you've got to anticipate that, you know, there's a chance for him to be a real bargain pickup for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. As I anticipate he will get better and better as the year goes on and he gains more confidence.
Max protection, Masoli up for grabs, and it is picked off. First turnover of the ball game. Kevin Brown, the linebacker, coming down after that ball was deflected up. There is a penalty flag down. They'll review the turnover. Ottawa's offense coming on the field. First turnover of the ball game right here. Looking for Chris Williams. Up it goes and into the hands of Kevin Brown.
Well, Jalen Saunders, rare territory for a receiver with the unnecessary roughness penalty. Is you'll see first of all the interception off the fingertips of Chris Williams. Antoine Pruneau coming downhill to make a play there. Kevin Brown with the pick. Jalen Saunders came in a little late, lowered the boom. You know, and you wonder after the Dylan Wynn hit on CJ Gaber a couple weeks ago that got a suspension for the Argos defensive tackle. You wonder if the league may take a closer look at a play like that.
Indeed. So 2-point ball game here. Red Blacks need to get some points off this turnover. Harris turns. A little misdirection there, but that was not fooling anybody. Justin Capicotti able to corral William Powell on that kind of spin delay draw.
Capicotti, a former Ottawa Red Black, did a nice job to redirect the rushing upfield to stay with Powell on that draw.
Second down. Red Blacks operate at 46% on second down conversions. Second and 10. Harris with time. Crossing pattern for Powell. Powell has the first down. And a converted second down. William Powell, who has become really a dual threat. He was used a lot, predominantly on the ground early in the season, but hasn't had many rushing touches the last few games.
But certainly William Powell more involved as a receiver last week. Went into last week's game. You saw the rushing numbers, but going into last week's game, he had only 5 catches. Ended up with 7 catches last week. As I think that there has been a little bit more of an effort on Trevor Harris's part, sort of get through his reads and get the ball to the checkdowns when he gets in a little bit of trouble, and Powell is the beneficiary.
Second and 4. Humming it in, and making that great catch was R.J. Harris. Ottawa Redblacks quickly back into the gun here. Hamilton Tiger Cats second last in giving up points after a turnover. Over the middle and try to come up with a football. Mike Daly, the free safety, double coverage on the speedy R.J. Harris. Hamilton Tiger Cats haven't forced many turnovers, just 2 interceptions so far.
Yeah, and no points to show for those turnovers, which has them lagging behind the rest of the league a little bit. You see on this pass, very tight window on the attempted Harris to Harris connection. Good coverage by Richard Leonard on the play, with Mike Daly supplying the help over the top.
Cats rush 4. Harris deep drop and a tight spiral for Sinopoli. Already his 4th catch, coming off an 11 reception week last week with 171 yards. A career day for him, and Sinopoli just keeps on grooving.
Well, and it almost seems like it's to the point where on these second down situations, I mean, Sinopoli and Ellingson both very dangerous, but it's been Sinopoli a lot the last couple weeks. 6 second down catches last week. I believe that's his 3rd one already in this ball game. May want to give him a little extra attention in those situations.
Counter in the backfield against Sinopoli. Already a handful of catches, and Brad Sinopoli on pace for a 130 catch season. That would put him 2nd all time for a season, but Brad Sinopoli, more Clark Kent than Superman, but he's humble. He gets it done. 1 quarter down. Just 4 points on the board. 2-point ball game. But the Red Blacks are on the move as we head to the 2nd quarter in Hamilton. 3-2 meeting 2-3. Red and black against black and gold today. 3-1 lead after 1 quarter, and you can see all the numbers. Maybe the most significant number is 5. 5 catches already from Brad Sinopoli, picking up where he left off last week.
Yeah, a torrid pace for Brad Sinopoli. It's been career highs each of the last 2 games, or 2 of the last 3 games rather, for Brad Sinopoli, and he looks like he's trying to set a new one here again tonight.
And he's a guy, we talked about him being a quarterback. He kind of sees the football game that way. He's got a quarterback's mind.
Yeah, we asked him about it yesterday, and just talking about how typically when you've played the game, you kind of see the game through the eyes of your position. That's your vantage point. But Sinopoli suggested he still, even now as a receiver for a number of years, he still kind of sees that 3D view of the whole field as a quarterback, and it really helps him with the concept of spacing on routes.
William Powell knocked back by Nikita Whitlock. We'll likely see some Nikita Whitlock in the backfield of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Also plays in a hybrid fullback position. There he is, Whitlock, number 49.
Yeah, Whitlock, former star defensive tackle during his college days at Wake Forest. Undersized for that position. Made the conversion to be a fullback in the National Football League with the New York Giants. Now making the most of that versatility, as you said, taking snaps at both positions here in his 2nd CFL season.
Dominic Davis at quarterback, 3rd down and inches, and will get that easily. Former Blue Bomber quarterback, and so the Red Blacks keep this drive going. They've been perfect on 3rd down plays this season. Davis gives way back for Trevor Harris. Back into the red zone again. Go the Red Blacks.
A nice push there right up the middle. Alex Mateus, the center, had a great get off. Gained some ground. Quarterback Davis tucking in right behind him.
10th play of the drive. Harris operating against the wind. Cluster formation. Gobbled up at the line was Powell by a gang of cats, including Nikita Whitlock. Hamilton defense that came into this game dead last against the run.
Recognizing that controlling William Powell in that ground game is going to be key in allowing them to get some pressure.
Man in black, Jerry Glanville. He and June Jones destined to be together forever. What a fascinating guy. Defensive coordinator here, north of the border in Hamilton. Harris, near side, and Greg Ellingson can't come up with that. Ball didn't have quite the trajectory that Harris wanted. So once again, he'll have to give way to Lewis Ward and the kick team.
Yeah, with that pocket collapsing a little bit around Trevor Harris, he wasn't able to get everything he wanted on that throw. Low and outside, Ellingson was unable to fish that one off the turf.
Once again, Lewis Ward comes in. Freshman kicker. A year ago, he was a security guard, working security at TD Place Stadium. Former Ottawa GG, kicking field goals in university, and this one's close, but it goes through. Gets a red-black bounce off the upright. Lewis Ward, again, has been perfect inside the 47 this year. Great story for the Red Blacks. They have a 5-point lead now. Jeremiah Masoli's turn when we come back. Well, the Angry Bird was throwing some shade this week. Kai Hebert had some disparaging comments about the city of Hamilton, about Jeremiah Masoli, about Simone Lawrence. He was talking some serious trash. Here's Matthew.
You know, Rod, when you go through all of those words that Kai Hebert said, and the fact is the CRTC probably doesn't want us to use the actual words that he said, but the adult language really didn't please Jeremiah Masoli, who said, particular to what Hebert said, with reference to him talking any kind of street or any kind of slang on the field, Masoli said, I've never even spoken to this guy. And the thing that really strikes a chord with Jeremiah Masoli, for those of us who's followed him throughout his career here in Hamilton, is he loves this city. So any indication of what Hamilton may or may not be really doesn't sit well with Jeremiah at all, because he says, I love the people of this city, and I love wearing that number, that black and gold jersey. So we'll see the reaction. So far, there hasn't been any chatting between Masoli and Hebert, guys.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if Masoli calls his own number and Hebert is looming large in the middle. It's one thing that Kai Hebert has done. The guy is an original Ottawa renegade, for goodness sake. He's been around this league and has talked trash with practically everybody who's come through this league.
Yeah, he doesn't discriminate.
He takes on a city. He takes on players, takes on a city. Three-man rush from Masoli. Low toss, far side. Jalen Saunders. Jonathan Rose grabbed him by the jersey and tossed him down. And the aforementioned Kai Hebert finishing him off.
Yeah, Hebert ranging from his middle linebacker position. To get out there at 37 years old. Getting out there to make that tackle on the hitch.
You ever wonder why they call him the Angry Bird?
Not for a moment.
2nd and 10. Red Blacks rush for Masoli. Pocket closes, but he flings it out. And it's a first down. Finding Jalen Saunders once more. And Cats trying to bounce back after that interception thrown by Masoli. Something he didn't do a whole lot of last year.
No, Masoli already with 6 interceptions here in 2018 through only 5 all of last year. Of course, he started that torrid streak of 300-plus yard passing games coming down the stretch last year.
9 in a row. Record set by Sam Echeverry, matched by Kent Austin, who, by the way, is back in town. The general manager here. White gets enveloped in the backfield. Solely doesn't have Luke Tasker, nor does he have Terrence Tolliver. Hearing from Matthew that Tolliver could be available next week. Those are 2 significant absences, but at the same time, go out and get yourself Chris Williams.
Yeah, and it was really, when you look at the trade, a situation where you're adding depth already. When you're Hamilton positions where you're already pretty good, you get even stronger. And they've got the speedsters in that receiving core. You add another burner, obviously. A couple of Canadian defensive ends and Capicotti and Connor McGough. Add in Westerman.
Masoli throwing, and Brandon Banks on 2nd and 13 with running room, and it was a free play for Masoli because the Red Blacks had jumped. He made good on it, finding one of his burners. They'll decline this penalty.
Offside. Hamilton, number 96, or Ottawa, number 96. That penalty's declined. First down, Hamilton.
See, Dave understands that because he's from here.
Well, fans were ready to get after him. We see Mike Wakefield in that stand-up position from his defensive tackle spot, trying to time that one up. And Solely mixing up his cadence as well to slow down those pass rushers a little bit.
On the march here, with the wind in the second quarter, and that wind could play a factor into the fourth. Again, Hamilton won the toss. Solely winging it out. Saunders again. Jalen Saunders, the former Oklahoma Sooner and New York Jet draft pick, has another catch today.
Well, Jalen Saunders has been such a terrific fit in this offense from day one. Really took off along with Brandon Banks. Banks, who had been primarily a returner, played only in certain packages offensively for the Tiger Cats prior to June Jones taking over as head coach and really implementing that run and shoot scheme where historically they've had great success with the small, quick receivers.
2nd and 2. Play action. Oh, what a catch! Rashad Lawrence. Say hello to the highlight reel. Up you go. Bring it back down with one big paw.
A nice stab there from Lawrence, the first-year man. Bit of an NFL journeyman. Not the flashiest of players, you know, as we talk about all the burners out there. He's not as fast as guys like Williams or Banks. Not a huge guy, but a great role player. Addition they really like. Very versatile receiver, can play every spot.
Masoli is dropped. Buried in the backfield. Blitz was coming. The Ottawa Red Blacks bring the heat. And they have their first sack. Anthony Chaffee, first-year linebacker out of Rutgers.
And keep an eye on the running back, John White. He's got a double read. 2 linebackers are coming, Hebert and Chaffee. He can only take one. He makes the right decision. He takes the inside guy, Hebert, who had the shorter line. They've got to get rid of that ball off of Chaffee, the free man.
Looks like they want to blitz again. Interesting call that time. 2nd and long. Read something there, and they handed it off to White, so that is going to again bring out the field goal unit. And Lirim Hairelahu, who had his first attempt blocked from in tight by Jonathan Rose.
And you can hear the fans expressing presumably some displeasure with
the play call.
Not just the outcome of the play, but the play call in the situation. But there are times where you have to mix it up. You have to do things as key breakers to keep that defense honest. Can't let them be a step ahead of you.
Hairelahu looking for some redemption, and he hooks this one wide. Tough start. Now Hairelahu saying it's good. He's saying it's good. Dave Foxcroft is looking. The signal was wide. And there's only a single on the board right now. Let's take a quick look here. Looked wide from here. Hockey game going on here. 6-2. Big one after this, the red and green game at Mosaic. Bo Levi Mitchell, the undefeated Stamps, Brandon Bridge, and the Riders, who won back-to-back weeks against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Right after this, Week 7 concludes the Canadian Football League. So the Hamilton Tiger Cats have left 4 points on the field. On misses by Liram Haralahu. One was a block, one was a miss, and Adrian Tracy. Larry Dean have a little celebration.
Well, Tracy was fairly quick to commit to the run there, as you'll see him coming off the right edge of your screen at his defensive end spot, and you'll see why he was able to. He's got Don Unamba on the outside, so he doesn't have contain, allows him to shoot hard to the gap and stuff that one, while Unamba stays with the quarterback for a possible bootleg.
Passing down again. Harris stands in and fires to the sideline. Nobody home. Harris wanting a call. Not getting it. And so Richie Leone. This wind now swirling was going from the south earlier, now then from the north. Flags on both goalposts going in different directions. Frankie Williams is dropped. Yeah, they're blowing today in Hamilton. Could be a nightmare for kickers. Brandon Banks, guy who's returned a few in his time now, catching a lot of footballs, will be called upon again for the guys in stripes. Kind of like a homecoming again for Chris Williams, who now has Brandon Banks as a teammate. Twin turbo boosters. CW loves it.
For me and Brandon, it's just about continuing to do what we've been doing our whole careers. And that's just make plays. Make plays, make big plays. You know, try to put that fear into the defense to where they have to do certain things, and it just lifts everybody and makes them have to cover the field, you know, all the way across it and, you know, 50, 60 yards deep. So, you know, that'll help everybody out.
Chris Williams yet to make a catch as a cat. Likely won't be long. Masoli now dancing out of the pocket, reverses the field, throws across his body right at the midfield stripe for Mike Jones. Has another catch here.
And not a lot of options there for Jeremiah Masoli as the Red Blacks rush 3, dropping 9 guys in coverage. So not a lot of openings downfield despite the time that he had to throw the ball.
Four-point ball game. Just over 5 to go before halftime. Second down and 5. Into Ottawa territory. Here comes the blitz. There goes the ball. And unable to catch up with it was Jalen Saunders. Otherwise, that was a house call.
And you're going to see.
And a roughing the passer call keeps the drive alive. This was a late flag.
And it's tough to tell sometimes in slow motion about the timing of the hit. But this is the referee's call. His eyes are on the quarterback. Dave Foxcroft on the spot makes that call. A bit of a reprieve for the Tiger Cats here.
Noel Thorpe, the defensive coordinator, formerly with Montreal, doesn't like that call. Reset for the Cats, otherwise the kick team was on its way out. Play clock coming down to 5. Bashing his way for about 5 or 6 yards. Tempers frayed. In the trenches It's Avery Jordan who's making his debut at left tackle.
And I'm not sure in this situation if Hamilton is doing check with me's or audibling at the line, but you're going to see AC Leonard is a stand-up guy on defense. Hamilton ends up running towards the stand-up guy. I don't know if they're audibling to go to where the bubble is or where the stand-up guy is when they're running that football in anticipation of the fact that he's not going to be anchored in there. They should be able to get some movement on that spot. It may have been a case where they just had the right call on at that time to hit that spot.
Jeremiah Masoli's going down. Untouched. Up the middle. Newcomer George Uko making his debut on that line. Has his first CFL sack, the former USC Trojan. Noel Thorpe was raving about this guy before the game.
Yeah, and I don't know if this one's going to go on George Uko's highlight film, as it seems like more of a bust by the Tiger Cats. Newcomer at left tackle, Avery Jordan. Maybe having a little bit of a communication issue over there as he set on the inside, let Uko go free. But for the Red Blacks and the former Trojan, they'll gladly take that sack.
So again, swirling wind, Hairolahu. Tough day for him. Can he right the ship? Yes, he can. That was just inside the 50, a 49-yarder, and Lirim Hairolahu having one blocked, having one hooked. This time gets the full 3 points. It's a 1-point ball game.
Hairolahu wanting to make sure he leaves no doubt on this one. Guy who's been terrific in the early going of this, his first season as a Hamilton Tiger Cat. Previously, Winnipeg Blue Bomber, spent last season with the Toronto Argonauts.
Had the game-winning field goal last year in the Grey Cup game. Deontay Spencer wrapped up, ripped down by free safety Mike Daly. 3-minute warning before halftime. George Uko has his first sack as a CFLer. The Ottawa Red Blacks have a 1-point lead here in Hamilton. All right, thank you, Rod. See you guys in a couple of minutes. 2.5-minute offense for Trevor Harris. Pulls this one back. Off to his release valve, Brad Sinopoli. Just got up to the line of scrimmage, so Hamilton has a chance to get the ball back and maybe get the lead before the half.
Well, you see Jamal Westerman getting in the mix. His first game as a Tiger Cat.
Already 6 catches for Sinopoli. His career high match last week is 11 in a game. Saunders has 5 for Hamilton. Leone's got a big foot. This is against the wind. This is an enormous kick. Frankie Williams makes a couple miss. Cats will start near their 27. So once again, the Hamilton Tiger Cats start in their own zone. They've only started in the opposition side of the field once this season. Their average starting point is the 28-yard line. They're at the 27. That's last in the Canadian Football League.
And that goes along with what you were saying earlier, Rod, about the fact that the Tiger Cats are at the bottom of the league in terms of takeaways and points off turnovers. Those things are all connected.
Masoli slinging. Good play on the corner by Jonathan Rose, who has been prominent in this first half. Had a block on a field goal attempt earlier as Mike Jones was the intended target, and that window closed quickly.
Well, it's so easy on the big field to get sucked into the idea that that receiver's open, but then you've got to calculate getting out to the wide side, a 65-yard field. You've got to calculate from the hash to the sideline directly out. You're looking at 41 yards, plenty of time for the wide side corner, Jonathan Rose, to recover and get his hands on that ball.
Red Black show blitz, rush 5. Masoli's got to run. Tosses it over the top for Brandon Banks, looking for that first down marker. That was just a survival play by Masoli and Banks, who came back to that ball, and it looks like they will move the sticks.
Things worked out well as AC Leonard is dropping from his defensive end spot into coverage, and you see the mismatch in terms of speed. Leonard may be a former receiver, but not a Blazer like Brandon Banks, who got the corner on him to be able to pick up that first down yardage.
4 catches, 55 yards for Brandon Banks. Again, still no catches for Chris Williams. They throw the hitch for Banks, who had to duck there. Minimal gain, maybe a half yard. I'll give him 1. Second down, another throwing down for this Hamilton Tiger Cat team. You talked about, again, the starting points, lack of turnovers. In many ways, 2 and 3 to start the season, a chance to go to 500. With a lot of numbers against you, I think the Hamilton Tiger Cats might take it.
Yeah, there's little question of that a 500 start would be a positive for the Cats.
Whipping it in, and all is dropped. Chris Williams, second time he was targeted, second time he couldn't come up with the football. So now Trevor Harris gets a chance to operate a minute 22 before halftime, and Chris Williams will tell you that's normally a catch he has.
Yeah, and that's a tough when you look at the timing of the defender Rico Murray getting in there to make contact, as it looked like Williams had secured it, but again, you take that shot from a bigger body, it's tough to maintain control.
Deontay Spencer ripped down by Canadian and former Ottawa GG Jackson Bennett. So Trevor Harris, this was about the time on the clock a week ago in the 4th quarter when he went to work. Pulled off a comeback win against the BC Lions. Looked very poised. As he said and told us yesterday, hey, all we have to do and what we did last week is we learned how to finish games. Looking to finish the first half here. Five receivers set. They dish it off to Ellingson, who draws a crowd. Half the first down yardage.
Oh, nice pursuit there from inside the box. The nickel backer.
Trevor Harris has been really good on the road.
Well, there you see it, 5 wins in those 6 outings, 13 touchdown passes to 3 interceptions.
Oh, that should have been an interception. And so Hamilton will get the ball back.
Yeah, they would have loved to have had that field position, as we just talked about. Not a lot of short fields for the Ticat offense this season.
This was easy pickings, it seemed. Cariel Brooks.
Yeah, we'll see. Greg Ellingson just blew a tire, which left Brooks all by himself with the football.
Still only 2 picks on the year, the secondary. 3 straight 2-and-outs for the Red Blacks. Kick sends Frankie Williams back. It's a little high stepping, and so still another chance for Jeremiah Masoli to put points on the board and take a lead into the locker room. Let's go down to Matthew Shinetti again.
Well, Brandon Banks is walking on the field, guys, but you might see him gesturing to around his right hip, right hamstring area. After that last offensive series for the Ticats, he came off limping and in some discomfort. Did not talk to the medical staff, but did walk up and down the Ticats sidelines on his own, but he was grimacing before he put his helmet back on, guys.
There you see Brandon kind of limping into that huddle. Take a look at Jalen Saunders, Brandon Banks, and Chris Williams. First of all, 2 of those guys equal the same weight as Riker Matthews.
Well, Jerry Glanville joked with Chris Williams this week. He walked up and asked him at the Ticats facility, how much do you weigh? And Chris Williams kind of looked at him sheepishly. He's about 155, 160. And Glanville smiled and said, good, you'll be our biggest receiver.
I want to call them the Smurfs, but they are not very big. Terrence Tolliver brings the average height up, and of course Tolliver is not in the lineup this week, but they are diminutive, and so 2nd and 10. Seen a lot of 2-and-outs here And not much sustained momentum offensively from both sides. Sully's got pretty good numbers, though, except for that one blemish, the interception.
Yeah, and in Jeremiah Masoli's defense, that one, you know, I think the result of a pretty good defensive play by Antoine Pruneau, the free safety who came up, jarring Chris Williams as the ball went off the receiver's hands.
Sully looking deep and trying to run under it. There's a little bumping downfield as Brandon Banks showed no signs that time of any type of injury, is flying out.
Well, the fans are going to lobby for a call as Banks went down, but I honestly think Brandon Banks went down to attempt to draw the flag. In this situation, you're going to see there's not a big collision here. Purifoy is just running with him, and I think Banks honestly kind of recognizes he can't get to the ball and takes a shot.
Well, over the last minute, these teams have traded the ball twice, and with no yards, add 15 onto that.
And that's a big 15 given the field position.
Catch it in the air and draw no yards in that 5-yard halo. It's 15 yards. If it's on the ground, it's 5. So 15 yards, immediate. Great starting position.
Hamilton, number 37. 15-yard penalty. First down, Ottawa.
And a pass away from instant field goal position for Lewis Ward.
Yeah, you're going to have an opportunity here to run a couple of offensive plays if you execute well prior to presumably lining up for the kick. If they were to kick right now, it would be from 54, almost 55. So I would think you'd want to get at least 10 yards to feel comfortably within Ward's range.
Harris out of the backfield for Sinopoli. Lewis Ward's longest field goal, he has hit a 60-yarder in practice. His longest field goal as a college kicker, university kicker, was 51. Longest this season, 47.
And we've got to account for the wind here as well. Always a factor in Hamilton. Particularly heading in this direction, they're going to need to get a chunky yards here if they're going to try and kick the ball.
On 2nd and 10, they have to worry about the clock too. And the clock ticks down to 4. So this would be Lewis Ward's career long.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a punting situation given the field position, unless they think they can eat up the clock and take a shot at the end zone with 4 seconds left.
And you call the two, Dwayne, you know about the wind here. We've done so many games here and in Iverwin, the old stadium. It's really a tough wind to figure. So with 4 seconds to go, they're not even going to bring out the kick team. They're going to bring Dominic Davis in, likely just to take a knee here, work the clock, and then take a 1-point lead into halftime. Davis might do some running around or sending some receivers. Maybe not.
I think he's going to go Hail Mary here.
He might. He is going to go Hail Mary here. And he will chuck it. Jump ball. And the ball is up, and it is caught.
Big yards, but no time.
No time left. Dominic Davis with a Hail Harris. R.J. Harris comes down with us. Watch this tip drill. Bang, 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 bang. There. Another couple of yards. That's a touchdown.
Yeah, pad the stats, but no value. And you wonder, again, against the wind, throwing that football, he probably could have had those extra couple of yards to get to the end zone.
Do you love that play? Matty Dunnigan. Oh, he likes that. Let's send it to Matt, Jim Barker, Milt Stiegel, and our man Rod Smith back in the studio.
Thank you, Rod. Do you like that play?
Blocked field goal, missed field goal. Big difference for Hamilton right now. Down 1 to the visiting Ottawa Redblacks. Clouds rolling over Tim Hortons Field here in the Hammer. Here's Hamilton quarterback Jeremiah Masoli with Matthew Shinetti.
Jeremiah, at points you have been moving the football, but what do you have to do to get inside the 20 and then get it in the end zone?
Yeah, man, we keep knocking on the door. We got to finish. We got to finish. We got plays out there. We just got to finish and execute.
In terms of your receivers, what do you think is going to work well in the second half? You were, to start the game, able to pull them sideline to sideline. What was discussed at halftime?
We had a couple adjustments for sure. You know, they kind of changed up who they were schematically a little bit, so we just made some midstream adjustments. We'll be all right, man. Make some plays in the second half.
Thanks, Jeremiah.
Thank you.
Based on what you just heard from Jeremiah Masoli, what kind of adjustments do you think June Jones is going to make here offensively?
Well, whether they will make them or won't, I think at times I may not be in quite as much of a hurry to go vertical with the football. We get so caught up in the speed in that Hamilton Tiger Cat receiving core that you want to think deep shot.
It's
all
intoxicating.
The time. But yeah, but I think a lot of times it's not always what they rely on, but I think you can take advantage of speed in terms of getting mismatches on crossing routes and stuff underneath as well. Get some of those fast guys running through traffic and gain a little bit of separation horizontally, so to.
Again, we talked about at the beginning of the game, which is swirling. Hamilton won the toss, deferred to the second half. They will go against the wind. They'll have the wind in the fourth quarter. Courtney Stephen will apply a pinhole to tee it up here for Lirim Hajrullahu. Ball just floats down. It might go out of bounds. It does.
So with the wind and with very good field position to start the second half will be the Ottawa offense.
Hamilton, number 70. Ball will be placed 30 yards in advance of the kick. First down, Ottawa.
30 yards ahead of that. To the 45-yard line for Trevor Harris. Jeremiah Masoli, very similar numbers as the guys in the studio talked about. Both teams unable to find the end zone, though. Knocking on the door. Trevor Harris just 8 passing yards in that second quarter. Good starting point. 1st and 10, they scrimmage from their 45. Harris on a play action goes over the middle. Into traffic. Greg Ellingston hauling that in. Almost a 15-yard pickup.
And this is actually pretty tight coverage on Ellingston. But big receiver, 6'3", goes up and gets that ball at his highest point.
Could you see both teams maybe trying to establish something on the ground a little more in the second half?
Yeah, I anticipate it more from Ottawa because it's been a bigger part of what they do offensively. Again, they've gotten away from William Powell in the ground game a little bit in the last couple of weeks as, you know, as other teams have started to key on him as a focal point of that attack.
Keep it on the ground on second down and 2 yards. That was a big play by the Cats. It'll be 3rd down, a loss of almost 2 or 3 on the play. Trevor Harris wants to stay in here. They're going to bring out Lewis Ward once more. And again, I'm trying to look at the flags here in the stadium. I've given up.
Yeah, it depends which end you're looking at, and frankly, from moment to moment, it even seems to change here.
The north end, flags are blowing in. The south end, the flags are blowing in. Here's Lewis Ward again. First-year kicker. 47.5-yarder. This would be his longest of the season. He has been on fire as a freshman kicker in the Canadian Football League. One of the smallest guys in the league. No problem with the wind. The Kingston native, 3 for 3. Canadian kicker getting it done in the Canadian wind. Canada is a world football champion, Dwayne Ford, at the junior ranks. Recently in Mexico City, Tyson Dewitt, the quarterback who plays here in McMaster, part of this team. This was on TSN 8.
This would have been good with 5 mics.
Guess what? Canada beats Mexico and celebrates. What a great scene for these teenage football players. Our good friend Steve Samara from Carleton, the coach of that team. So congratulations, Canada, now a 3-time world junior football champion.
Yeah, and you get such a neat mix of players at that U19 level, because you get some guys that have already played a year of youth sports football. You get some guys that are still in high school, some guys playing junior football and so on, but bringing them all together, wearing the red and white and collecting some gold.
What a great experience. There were 35,000 people at that game in Mexico City. Canada spoiled the party. Tight end set here, and Rashad Lawrence was 2 seconds and 2 yards offside.
Offside. Hamilton, number 85. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Rashad will go back to the huddle and remind them of that fantastic catch he made in the first half.
Remember that?
As he begs forgiveness here.
Send out 4 receivers, quads to the left, top of your screen for Masoli, looking that way. Protection with him, and the busiest cat receiver today has been Jalen Saunders. 8-yard gain, but short of a first down by 5 yards.
And you get a sense of part of the challenge here for Hamilton offensively. Within this run and shoot system, they use so many 6- and 7-man protections that, you know, obviously count the quarterback as well. You've only got 4 receivers running routes. At a time when Ottawa's only rushing 4, sometimes 3 guys, your 4 receivers trying to get it open against 8 or 9 defenders at times.
The Uber speedster, Deontay Spencer, fielding this at his 20 from Hairolahu. Weaves his way close to the 35-yard line. Trevor Harris will set up shop again. Low-scoring game. Defense is tightening the screws right now. Red Blacks leading by 4. At Alberta's Aaron Crawford, you don't talk about long snappers in a game unless they screw up, or it's a great comeback story, as this one is. Here's Matthew Shinetti.
Rod, and usually before the game we like to talk storylines, and you pointed this out because it was last year against the Ottawa Redblacks that Aaron Crawford not only tore his ACL but also his meniscus. For those who don't know, that's really important to your knee, especially the long snappers who basically spend most of their time in a crouch. Crawford came off and then went back into the game because his replacement wasn't doing too well. When he found out that both his ACL and his meniscus were torn, Crawford, like many who would go ahead and, I guess, play on a knee that was hurt, was kind of shocked. But the biggest part of this story is the patience and the fact that he came back in 9 months. That just doesn't happen. And Crawford went ahead, he said the biggest thing were hamstring curls to strengthen his leg. He is a personal trainer. He started with just the bar, then 100, and today, coming back, he's curling 350 pounds. Think about that. For a guy who has to crouch all the time, it's just incredible. Rod?
Yeah, absolutely. Matthew, great story. Dr. Shinetti. To come back the way he has from that, and never mind, to go back in a game with a torn ACL.
Some guys are just wired to play the game.
And this guy is, and also braced, quite obviously. And there's a late flag here, and it was just thrown. About 5 seconds after the play. It seemed to be a broken play of sorts.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Hamilton, number 55. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's Jamal Westerman into his first game as a Hamilton Tiger Cat, and a 15-yard penalty, and maybe a little too amped up as he pretzels Trevor Harris.
Well, Jamal is a guy who plays the game at one speed and one speed only, full intensity all the time. Every now and then that gets him in a little bit of trouble.
Jamal Westerman was born in Brooklyn, New York, played high school ball in Fort Lauderdale, then came back with his mom here in Brampton, played high school ball here, so a homecoming as Harris launches. Trevor Harris, and R.J. Harris can't hang on. That would have been a sensational catch.
R.J. Harris got tangled up with the defender. It looked like he was going to lucky to keep his feet. the way he got spun around, but he had a nice recovery as the defender goes down here, but just unable to corral that football as he was twisting and contorting. Cariel Brooks was the halfback who fell down on the play.
Deep shot from Trevor Harris. Ottawa team that doesn't have a lot of big plays statistically. Second last in big plays, but there's a lot of this. And this doesn't work this time. Short yardage shots by them, and so again a drive stalls.
Yeah, Red Blacks looking to set up the screen. And as Dave Foxcroft will show you, John got
it on the noggin.
Yeah. Brad Sinopoli was coming on the crossing route just in behind there, but as Gott was looking to release to get a block downfield, he got dinged.
Might be the best beard in sports. He and Brent Burns. For sure. So no attempt this time at the field goal, which would be about a 50-yarder. Instead, Richie Leone.
Can he get the corner?
Going to try for the corner here. Bounces it down to Williams, and just as effective. Long field for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in what has become a battle of field possession. Jeremiah Masoli trying to get his offense ticking here in this touchdownless game in Hamilton. Chess match today between two defensive chess masters. One who's been around for quite some time and one who's been around an eternity.
Yeah, Jerry Glanville, of course, the Hamilton DC.
Masoli calls his own number now. Bashes his way up near the 18-yard line. You saw Noel Thorpe his first year as DC with the Ottawa REDBLACKS, and there's Jerry Glanville, a former NFL head coach. He's been with June Jones for quite some time, and first time north of the border.
Yeah, and Glanville, again, massive background in the world of football and known as a head coach, but primarily a defensive guy throughout his career, getting his CFL indoctrination. But you know, one thing has been a common theme with Glanville wherever he's been is guys want to line up and play for him, and that has continued here in Hamilton. And of course Noel Thorpe, great reputation here at CFL DC.
First down. There's Chris Williams' first catch back in Hamilton. Targeted twice today, couldn't come up with a football, and he used to hear this applause a lot. And then there was that acrimonious split with the Cats a few years ago. But all is healed. Time heals, and Chris Williams is back.
Yeah, different guy coming back, and not that Chris Williams was ever an issue or a problem in Hamilton, but a young player, rookie, a sophomore, his first couple of years in the league when he was here before, but now
fumbled football. Darius Sirocco was right on it. Otherwise, we might have had our second turnover.
And that would have been a costly one given the field position.
Calgary Dino, number 60, pounces on it.
Sirocco earned a starting position out of training camp. One of Hamilton's 2 first-round picks. Of course, the other one, as Dave Naylor reported this week, Mark Chapman, the number 1 overall pick in the draft, is signed with the NFL's Denver Broncos.
Masoli again wants to scamper, and now he does. And he is chopped down near the 20-yard line. And nowhere to go, and Anthony Chiaffi has been all over the field this afternoon.
Chiaffi, the rookie, has replaced Josh Johnson at the nickel linebacker spot. Terrific job there in pursuit of the Hamilton QB.
Jeremiah Masoli operating on a serious drought right now with touchdown passes. 40 drives now. without a touchdown pass. Offense, never mind heating up, needs to warm up. Hiralahu, high kick. Spencer, oh, what a tackle downfield by a guy who's normally returning as well. Frankie Williams shows off that speed. Gunner downfield brings down Spencer.
Frankie Williams doesn't want anybody catching him in those return stats. Great job in coverage right there for the Ticats rookie.
It has become a bucket list place to be for a CFL fan. In Ottawa, TD Place Stadium, the Red Black fans can't say enough about how well they travel, but what they do at home. We talked to Noel Thorpe before the game. He's been in Montreal for a long time. He is over the moon with the situation in Ottawa.
Yeah, fantastic location, environment, etc. Great place, obviously, to watch a football game.
It has become a great story, winning a Grey Cup, of course, a couple of years ago. After only a couple of years, reborn in the Canadian Football League, the Ottawa Red Blacks. Harris looking one way, went through his reads, and his outlet was William Powell. This has really become a defensive battle.
It is tough sledding out there for both of these offenses. Unable to get much traction. Nobody really yielding, I don't even want to say a big play, but anything of significant yardage since really the opening minutes of this game.
Absolutely. And man in black watches with those sunglasses on. That's his kind of game here. Oh, Deontay Spencer just pulled a Rashad Lawrence. Something about the 85s.
Offside. Ottawa, number 85. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
Do you think a lot of what we're seeing here, this play notwithstanding, this defensive game has a lot to do with what's on the line? The fact that it does have kind of a playoff feel.
Well, it certainly does that, but I think you've got two teams that are well coached and have good personnel defensively.
It has been tough sledding. Play clock coming down to 3, down to 2. They'll get it off. Harris backpedals, steps up, gets it to the initial line of scrimmage. J.C. Beaulieu, former Alouette, traded for Patrick Lavoie, so that offside call was costly. And again, not much offensive traction or momentum at all. Busiest guys on the field have been the kickers. Frankie Williams is back, and Richie Leone over the last 4 weeks has been the CFL's leading punter. Almost 51 yards a boot. A line drive shot. Williams with that quick cut at the beginning. Up near the 38-yard line. 9-5 Ottawa. 3:50 to go in the third.
I was right by you. If he thought it's me, bro. I just ran past you twice.
No, you didn't.
Record me. I'm about to go do an interview on the field. Record it. Just record it.
From mic'd up players to behind the scenes action, CFL Wired brings you the latest CFL football highlights. Catch it Wednesday, Rod Black, at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 p.m. Pacific on TSN 4 and 5.
That promo brought to you by the voice of our promos now, Dwayne Ford, who had to do that because there's no Shark Week promo this week. So it's always Shark Week or Sharknado for you. How about this current malaise that the Hamilton Tiger Cats are in offensively?
The shutout streak, not in a good way. 0 touchdown passes for Jeremiah Masoli and the Ticado in 40 drives. that have spanned 11 quarters of football, 181 minutes and 7 seconds of game time.
Courtesy of our statologists, another pearl from John Perlberg.
Yes, the Angry Bird, John Perlberg.
Masoli pumping it over the top, looking for Mike Jones. If he was able to get it to him, he was gone. Masoli's had a couple of deep shots, but balls haven't been in the right place today. You think back to that Jalen Saunders fly pattern earlier, the post, and now that one too with Jones. Just can't connect right now.
You kind of get the sense that a double move kind of play like that is going to be their best opportunity to get a ball deep, because there have been so many checkdowns and underneath plays that they've been forced to settle for both teams. They almost have to get the defense to suck up and jump and bite on one of those.
The pump, and now the throw. And he's also seen that happen. That had to be caught by Mike Jones. First one was on Masoli. That one was on number 12.
Yeah, and Jones has a chance to catch that one in stride. And you see that seam he's in. There's no one between him and the goal line. Mike Jones is a guy who runs pretty well. But needless to say, you got to make the catch first.
So this field position tug of war continues. Hajrullahu, spiraling kick. Good one against the wind. There goes Spencer. There he goes to the 50, and immediate field position for Trevor Harris and the Red Blacks. Could not get to him this time, made the first guy miss. So inside 3 minutes, third quarter, we're still waiting for our first touchdown of this game.
And with the challenges that you're seeing for both offenses, the work of the special teams and some of the special team stars so important. You look at Hajrullahu and Richie Leone punting the ball in terms of their placement, trying to swing the field. But some dangerous returners in this game. You see it from Deontay Spencer, Frankie Williams. You wonder if Hamilton might try to put Chris Williams or Brandon Banks back to try and get a spark.
Quick hitter, near sideline. Deontay Spencer probably still breathing pretty heavy after the return, but he's targeted once more. Spencer out of McNeese State.
They're kind of looking for Deontay Spencer to get untracked. You know, you look at the sort of completion rate relative to the number of targets coming into this game. Targeted 38 times, but only 20 receptions thus far.
Right at the first down marker. Catch from Brad Sinopoli. Hot early. Half dozen catches in the first half. Now 8 in the game, and again his career high is 11. Have not heard the last from Sinopoli. 4 receivers to the right. Trevor Harris changes it up. Cats look to rush 5 here. Harris, the blitz is on and almost picked. Some serious heat that time as Hamilton was bringing it.
And Larry Dean, middle linebacker. The Tiger Cats supplied the pressure that time. He does a nice job making sure he gets outside of Trevor Harris. He's not going to let him get out of that pocket, attacking that outside shoulder, limiting Harris's options.
Cats looking to limit the Red Blacks to a field goal attempt. A slant up near the 30 and trying to plow forward. And flags late. This could be a very costly penalty because Lewis Ward likely would have been coming out here. Would have been 3rd and about 4. This is against Hamilton. Ottawa can keep the ball moving. Like a real wrestling match down there. Sinopoli made the catch, was trying to plow forward.
We have 2 fouls on the play. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Ottawa, number 65. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Hamilton, number 55. Penalties will offset, it'll be third down.
So Jamal Westerman has had a couple of roughing calls already.
Well, you're first going to see the Ottawa offensive lineman, Alex Mateus, come in looking to clean up the pile. Jamal Westerman that tosses him off of a teammate as they even up the calls, limiting the damage for both teams.
Comes the Mighty Might again, 3 for 3. 13 makes in a row for Lewis Ward. 37-yarder. Barrels it through again. How good has Lewis Ward been? And even in the eyes of his head coach, who we talked to yesterday, has been a real revelation.
Well, and it goes to one of my draft theories. You know, with all due respect to Rob Maver, who was a first-round pick. You know, Hugh O'Neill, I think, was a second-rounder. But for the most part, so many of the kickers in this league, you look even in this game, Liram Hajrullahu, Lewis Ward, a couple of guys that went undrafted in their draft year, signed as free agents after playing out their 5th year of Canadian university eligibility, doing a pretty good job.
He's on a record-setting pace. The record for a first-year player, percentage-wise, Boris beat it, 90% back in 2015. Right now, Lewis Ward is up near 95% on the season. Masoli settles into the pocket, throws on the roll. Mike Jones makes sure he has that. Only a few yards, though.
Yeah, once again, it's being forced to settle for that underneath stuff.
Final 35 seconds before we head to the 4th quarter.
You see Mike Jones kind of mirroring his quarterback on the scramble.
Blanket coverage from the Red Blacks once more. Sets up a 2nd and 4. Max protection. Masoli. That one was low. One hopper for Lawrence. And right now the crowd voicing its displeasure with the offense.
So only 3 of his last 9 passes, and you know, so I guess now it's the Dane Evans watch. We have the devoted Hamilton backup quarterback camera.
How crazy do you think the hype machine will be working this week as the Hamilton Tiger Cats prepare to go to Montreal next week, and a potential of seeing Johnny Manziel? I'd say there's probably a high percentage that we will see him next week. Right now it's a game of punters and kickers and defenses. Offenses cannot get on track. We'll see what happens in the 4th. Still awaiting a touchdown. The Ottawa Redblacks, the invaders from the nation's capital. 7-point lead. And the Golden Horseshoe on TSN today. Florida was 5 for 5 last week, is 4 for 4 today. Brad Sinopoli has 9 catches. This is not a great day for CFL fantasy if you're looking for any offense and some points. But it's a very interesting battle, don't you think? It's, if you're a purist and you love defensive football, this is your game.
What if you're not?
What if you're not? Then you don't like it.
Yeah, it has been a well-played, well-coached game defensively. Both teams obviously came in very well prepared. You know, Ottawa, I think, is doing a terrific job where you know that Hamilton is a team that likes to take the deep shot. They like to push that ball. This is a big reason why they love to have so much speed in that receiving core. Ottawa's done a very good job of keeping players in front of them. We're seeing Antoine Pruneau, the free safety, playing deep, making sure that they are not at risk of giving up that big play that seems to be the Ticats' bread and butter.
Talked yesterday about taking the top off of coverage, but that is not happening so far. So who will be the player, or what team will make the play that determines the outcome in this one? One possession ball game. Those 2 misses by Hairolahu could play in big in this game. 4 extra points that could be on the board for the Cats. So it has been a day for defense, though, and special teams. A blocked field goal attempt earlier, one of Hairoalu's attempts. Guys downfield on special teams have been doing a good job. He's kind of got a playoff feel, and this is a big 3rd and 1. Dominic Davis behind center. Had to get to the 33 pure. Looks like he had that surge as they are grill to grill down there.
Yeah, there's a great view for you from the cable cam.
Yeah, and he gets that. Wonder if they will move the sticks, not require a measurement. Davis, who's had a couple of 3rd down plays and a long bomb Hail Mary that went for a completion. May see him as well.
Biggest offensive play for the Ottawa REDBLACKS to end the first half.
Just have not seen either team make any real penetration into the opposing territory. Here's a good chance, and on the fly is William Powell. Simone Lawrence had to retreat downfield, and a great play call here, the biggest play of the ball game. Trevor Harris to William Powell.
And you're going to see Simone Lawrence is the man in coverage on this play. Lawrence is in the box, but he gets caught kind of taking a step forward, and then he gets caught trying to bubble around traffic to try and chase. He's immediately in a chase position, doesn't have the leverage he wants in coverage, leaving Powell open.
Looking end zone. Craig Ellingson on a good defensive play. Juwan Rule, first-year corner with the Cats out of Catawba College.
Getting in that hip pocket on Ellingson. Well-timed play to get that hand in on the football.
Jamal from Wilson, North Carolina. Spent some time in the National Football League with Houston and Baltimore. Big play there. Here it is, another 2nd down conversion close to the red zone. Harris again looking end zone, and up high and sandwiched in the end zone. Incomplete once more as Ellingson. And guess who's coming out again? 5 for 5 last week, has a chance to go 5 for 5 again. And keep in mind, he is a first-year kicker.
And you see this one sails, and we've talked a lot about the wind in the course of this game.
I think it's been a factor.
Yeah, I mean, we expected Ottawa to be against the wind here in the 4th quarter as you see that ball overthrown a little bit. You check the flags, the wind at that end of the field. Yeah, Trevor Harris was throwing with the wind and may have misjudged that as it carried that ball a little further than anticipated.
So Ward to go 5 for 5 today. Perfect. Has made 15 straight. How about this young kicker? The Ottawa Gigi out of Kingston. The score is Lewis Ward 15, Lirim Hairoalu 5. Here in Hamilton. Captain promo, go to it.
American Ninja Warrior is the place to get your kicks and see gravity-defying stunts. No other show, Rod Black, will get your pulse pounding like American Ninja Warrior. All new Monday at 8, 9 Mountain on CTV.
That would be your dream job, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you love to be a Ninja Warrior?
I watch that show all the time with my daughter. We love it.
Masoli's in trouble, and down he goes. And another sack here. That's the 3rd for the Ottawa REDBLACKS. And Danny Mason, Texas A&M Commerce, with his first CFL sack.
You'll see Mason coming off the edge. This is developing defensive end on whom the REDBLACKS are high. He spent some time in Calgary's camp previously. Athletic guy, big frame, long arms.
Four-man rush for Masoli. Again, the pocket closes. Masoli across his body. Jones hangs on, and it looks like it's a first down. What a clutch grab that time for Mike Jones. I think anything near him right now in his catching radius, he knows he's going up with extra concentration.
And you're going to see Mike Jones working from the outside here, getting all the way across the field. As his quarterback gets on the move. You can see how he's coming back towards the line of scrimmage, working back towards his quarterback as he comes across the field.
Jones, a fixture in this Hamilton offense, has been a special teams and backup predominantly. Masoli again, and unable to hang on. Brandon Banks lunged for that. It'll be second down. Rico Murray, guy who used to patrol the halfback lanes here in Hamilton.
Yeah, Mr. Versatility in Hamilton, played so many different positions.
Rico's had a couple of picks already this season. Just one turnover in the ball game. Interception earlier. 3 points off that turnover. 10-point Ottawa lead. Masoli is in trouble again. And there was nobody around him. Might be an intentional grounding call here. There is a flag.
It came early. Looked like the Cats got off early to me. I, of course, do not have the benefit of a camera on my hat.
I'd like to see the Dwayne cam, the 40 cam. Hey?
Offside. Ottawa, number 95. 5-yard penalty.
Right, you
Repeat,
are.
Second down.
Didn't need a camera for that, so that's a big break for the Tiger Cats.
Yeah, I thought the movement had actually come on the other side first, but it was Danny Mason, first man to flinch. Excuse me, the wide guy on that defensive line.
Still looking for a touchdown. Normally, games like this with no touchdowns, it's kind of snow on the ground or really inclement weather. Today, it's all about the defense. Masoli coming back to the football. Here's Brandon Banks. Bobby Dice down there took a hit.
And Banks had a monster game against Ottawa late last season. Season and career high. 13 catches, 193 yards for him in that outing. They're trying to get him warmed up here in the fourth quarter today.
It's a two-possession ball game. Biggest play of the game has been a 24-yard catch by Hamilton. There's a horse collar. That will keep the ball moving. George Uko again getting the start today.
Major foul, Ottawa, number 92. Horse collar tackle. 15-yard penalty, automatic.
15-yarder is very costly.
And kind of a tough break for Uko because he had great pursuit on the speedy John White, but just as he's trying to keep up, not much to grab at, and you kind of get fixed on that collar, which you got to let go.
Ball moves close to that red zone inside the 20. It's at the 26 right now. Jeremiah Masoli, long time without a touchdown pass. Door's been open. Been knocking at it. Lawrence makes the catch. Last time we had a game without a touchdown, I think you and I did that game, as a matter of fact. And by the way,
probably.
And by the way, featured the same two teams back in 2015 on November 1st.
Yes, that one is, you know, today it's Lewis Ward versus Liram Hajrullahu that day. Chris Milo versus Justin Medlock. Milo won 4 field goals to 2. Ottawa 12, Hamilton 6 was the final.
One of those games you will not see on TSN Classics. Brandon Banks. But if you love the game, and you love close football, sort of lunch bucket kind of football.
Hey, tough slug and grind it out.
Pads popping.
Yeah, there's some defensive coaches across the country sitting at home with grins on their faces right now as they watch this one unfold.
Hamilton got this close early in the ball game and had a field goal attempt blocked. Now they're hovering near the 12-yard line. John White, stutter step, and another one, and White. Nowhere to go near the 10-yard line. This is going to be a throwing down here. They could get it down to the 1 to reset the sticks, but I think Masoli would love to get this to the end zone. It's going to be very interesting if they get it down to the 4. What do you do? This 2-possession game where field position has been everything. 10th play of this drive. Soling in the gun. Next to the end zone and trying to come back. Back shoulder for Brandon Banks. That throw was off again. So now 3rd down, really no choice here. You've got to get those 3 points. Hajrullahu will come out. And again, still, that seal has not been broken. It's a bad throw.
Yeah, pretty good coverage there, too, from Purifoy on that one. So Hajrullahu had one blocked from in close in the first quarter.
And comes at a very low trajectory. It was Jonathan Rose earlier. Came flying in once more, but Hajrullahu makes good. So they have 8 on the board. It's a 7-point ball game. 6 minutes to go, still anybody's ball game. Can anybody score a touchdown in this thing? We'll find out. Well, it's late July, almost August. Of course, we're going to talk hockey. World Junior Showcase comes your way Thursday from Kamloops, BC. World's top under-18 prospects face off. Canada and Finland, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on TSN2.
Is Gord Miller finally going to get off his couch and call those games?
Apparently.
Gord has been loafing all summer.
He'll be in a hockey rink soon. Play action. Deontay Spencer. And there's a penalty flag, and might be a face mask here. Tony Nyamba got his hand near the grill of Spencer. This has been a defensive tilt for sure.
Major foul, face mask, Hamilton number 1.
Cariel Brooks.
15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Not really a face mask per se, maybe a mouth guard. Mouth guarding.
Is that a penalty?
To Nyamba, but it was Cariel Brooks. And there's the face mask right there.
Yeah, John Nyamba trying to.
Well, I got 2 of them.
Straight arm the blocker, R.J. Harris.
Big play for Harris now. Stepping up and throwing. And Brad Sinopoli going to get on track downfield. And good coverage on Sinopoli by Jamal Roll again. Couple more steps and Roll had the pick.
Keep an eye on the outside. Here on Brad Sinopoli, Jamal Roll on the corner. Nice footwork to stay with him on that fake. Again, stability has gone a long way in that Hamilton secondary. Same group starting almost every game this season outside of brief injury hiatus for Richie Leonard.
Trevor Harris for Ellingson, and looks like a contact or interference call on Richard Leonard. Just going to say one of the biggest plays here as the clock ticks under 5 minutes. This will keep the drive going.
Defensive pass interference. Hamilton,
interference.
number 4. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul.
Spot
First
of the
down,
foul.
Ottawa.
First down, instant field goal position for sure. Possibility of going to the house here for Ottawa.
You see Greg Ellingson in the slot. Richard Leonard is going to run with them. But just got tangled up, impeded him a little bit as Ellingson tried to work back inside to the ball. And that's the flag.
Look at the difference, Dwayne, in flags here. Penalties, 159 yards, double, more than double what Ottawa has accumulated today. Pats killing themselves here. William Powell high stepping. Stretches down near the 22-yard line. Couple of big plays. One of the biggest plays of the ball game right here. 4:30 to go.
Yeah, 7-point ball game right now with that clock ticking down to 4.5 minutes.
Key second down conversion for Trevor Harris. Out of the backfield for R.J. Harris gets the first down. Mike Daly with the tackle.
Well, Ted Laurent was in that backfield in a hurry, but not fast enough. He's just to the left of the hash mark. Nice high percentage, quick hitter. Gets the job done for the Red Blacks.
Red Blacks 10 of 23 now on second down conversions. They'll scrimmage from the 16-yard line, go 1st and 10. Getting close to the 3-minute warning. Play clock came down to zeros here.
Time count violation. Ottawa, number 7. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Ottawa team that has won its last 3 visits to Hamilton. A team that used to protect this house so well when they opened Tim Hortons Field. Cats have really struggled over the last couple of seasons at home.
Well, they sure have. 10-0 out of the gate when this building opened. It's 9-19 since then.
Harris has to dance now. And looking, and he is snowed under. Adrian Tracy bringing him down. A big defensive play. So now throwing down for sure for Harris as the Cats try to limit them to a field goal attempt.
And Adrian Tracy pursues this one all the way from the backside to bring down the Ottawa quarterback.
Got some help from Delvin Breaux. So what will it be here? Likely last play before the warning. Sinopoli, 9 catches today. Harris is coming in. Julian Fedeli-Godino's also coming in. What do the Red Blacks have cooked up here? 2nd and 15. Ellingson in motion. Harris signals to Sinopoli. Harris and Spencer. Sinopoli stays in. Trevor Harris trying to step up. Now he has to go. And Harris is running down close to a first down near the 5-yard line. If he didn't get the first down, he's very close to it.
Yeah, we don't see him do it very often, but well-timed occasion for Trevor Harris to tuck that ball and run it.
Will be a 3rd down play. It's the 3-minute warning, so Harris will come to Rick Campbell. They'll all talk about it. Will we see Dominic Davis? Will we see Lewis Ward again? 1 possession ball game. Tight one here in Hamilton at the warning. So going with the percentages here, third and about 1.5 yards. Lewis Ward, who's on a tear here, 15 in a row, 5 for 5 today, a chance to make it a 6-pack. The rookie kicker could make it most importantly for the Red Blacks, a 2-possession ball game.
Yeah, and this is the impetus for this decision for Rick Campbell to not go for it. 3rd and short, deep in Hamilton territory, less than 3 minutes left in a 2-possession game. You'll take your chances.
6 for 6. So the tiniest guy on the field has been the biggest guy on the field today.
He sure has. At least from an offensive point of view. Plenty of guys playing D on both sides that might argue with it, but Lewis Ward counting for all of the Ottawa Red Blacks points in this ball game. 6 for 6.
Still time for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, but again, playing poker is Rick Campbell right now, realizing that his defense has really owned the poker hands today, putting it in the hands of his D here in a 10-point game with no touchdowns in this game. Quite obviously, the Cats have to drive the field here, get to the house. Depending on the time, may need an onside kick. We shall see. What a day for Lewis Ward, just when he's coming off a 5 for 5. Goes 6 for 6 here. Other big foot, Richie Leone. To this swirling wind. Cats need a big return. Again, the place they affectionately call the donut box here at Tim Hortons Field. There was a big donut in the loss column early on, 10-0. But over the last 28, do the math there, they're 500 in this great field.
After that great start. Yeah, a lot of struggles over the last couple of seasons here on their home turf.
Well, they also remember, if you go back in history, Zach Collaros, who was their quarterback, got hurt at the time. They went through a long losing spell. They've suffered a few losses along the way and trying to correct that. Win by Ottawa today gives them a 2-game bulge on top of the East.
Yeah.
Got the Argos next week. Argos desperate now for a win.
Yeah, well, as they play some of these divisional games, there's no doubt that's what's on the Ottawa Red Blacks' minds, is trying to put a little bit of distance in the proverbial 4-point games between themselves and some of their divisional rivals.
Funny thing is, 4-point games now also could mean the other side because of crossovers. Masoli's got to get it going here. Going up high and bringing it down. Chris Williams, second catch, coming back home near the 50-yard line.
And Williams is going to hook it up. Timing route from Masoli, climbs the ladder, brings it in. Move those sticks.
Masoli out of the backfield, and again, oh, what a lick Brandon Banks takes, but it's right at the first down marker. And again, best thing for Masoli and the Cats' point of view here, these completions moving the football, but not eating up a lot of the clock.
No, exactly. Things coming quickly, still 2:09 to go here in the fourth.
Cats' first game against an Eastern opponent after 5 against the West. Masoli loads of time, unloads. Brandon Banks stopping the clock again. Luchez Purifoy talking to himself. Down inside the 30-yard line.
Well, 3 straight completions to the same area of the field. And outside those numbers, on this boundary side.
If they can get it to the end zone, and that has been a daunting task, impossible task today for both sides. They may not need an onside kick right now, depending on if they can get to the end zone in a hurry. Masoli, over the top, touchdown, Jalen Saunders. Hang on here. We've got to finish. First touchdown of the day and first touchdown in a long time for Jeremiah Masoli from his arm.
Well, how about the efficiency of this entire drive? 3 straight completions to the boundary, to 2 different receivers, and then right down the middle.
First touchdown pass in 44 drives since 3 games ago against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for Jeremiah Masoli. This is critical. And it's made. So now what do you do, my friend? With 1:40, that's a sticky time on the clock, isn't it?
Well, it is. You're kind of in that in-between territory, but my inclination...
Put it in the hands of your defense, or do you want to...
Well, yeah, the defense has played well today. The defense, again, hasn't allowed a touchdown. Just here now, they need a 2 and out. It's basically got to be a 2 and out. If you take a look at this Hamilton Tiger Cat scoring drive.
Hamilton fans are probably going, offense, where have you been?
Well, yeah, why didn't you do that earlier? They made it look so easy on that particular possession. Ottawa sitting back a little bit, emphasizing even more that desire to avoid giving up the big play.
Jeremiah Masoli's first touchdown pass in over 3 football games of playing time.
Yeah, 198 minutes, 9 seconds of game time since.
So what are they going to do here? Looks like they're setting up for an onside kick, but it could be a ruse. Hiralahu bringing it over to the near hash mark, and we have a timeout. The thing is, if you miss on the onside kick, it might not be a crippler because of the wind, and you still hold them to a 2 and out. Possibility of them kicking a field goal might be less.
Yeah, the field position on a 2 and out. You're right. They may deem it to be outside of Ward's range, depending what the wind is doing at that given moment, as we've kind of seen it flip back and forth in the course of this ball game. But that said, even if they punt the football with Richie Leone, you may be putting yourself at risk of having a very long field.
Fascinating, but it looks like they're setting up for the onside kick. So Lirim Hiralahu will put it up, and it is caught by Brad Sinopoli. Yeah, the hands team was out there, and those pretty sure-handed hands.
Well, I was going to say there's no accident in terms of who lines up where on this team, that Brad Sinopoli is the guy for Ottawa whom they want to have catching this football.
45 catches on the season. That one might be an important one. It doesn't count as a catch. That's a big one. So now, though, right you are, Dwayne, from the 54-yard line, a 2 and out here, induced by the Cats D. And then Leone comes out. They might have just over a minute to work with to try to get it again in field goal range for Hiralahu. A lot could happen here, though. First down by Ottawa could go a long way to putting it in the win column. Trevor Harris knows that. 1:46 to play here. Finally, we have a touchdown in the ball game. We've got a 3-point game. They'll be conservative, keep it on the ground, but William Powell scampers out of trouble and gets the first down.
That's a killer.
1:38 to go.
So they had Powell stuffed up on the front side of this run, but you'll see his great vision. He keeps the legs moving to bounce it all the way to the backside. Justin Capicotti stepped up in the gap and had him dead to rights.
So a timeout here. Perhaps not. Thought we heard that. They called one, but no. So critical stops for Hamilton. Otherwise, Ottawa could start the bus. Here goes Powell. 1:32 to go. It is in Lewis Ward's range. Again, we talked about 47. Guess where it is right now? Around 47. This one's into the wind. Kids made 6 today. Chance to make it a 2 possession if it comes down to a 3rd down.
Well, I'll tell you one thing you're going to be very wary of, 6 for 6 or not for Lewis Ward today. You're going to be aware of the potential on a missed field goal of the options Hamilton has to put back in the end zone for a potential return.
They could put Banks back there.
Be very aware of, kind of how far you're kicking from.
They got the 1st down and can almost put it in the books, but Powell let a loose shoe. Now sets up 3rd down. And 6 for 6 is Lewis Ward, and this one is now critical to make the Hamilton Tiger Cats go and score a touchdown to win or tie. Because you still have to get that extra point. Chance to make it 7 in a row here.
The Ward sets up his tee at about the 43-yard line. They've got him dead center in terms of angle.
Ottawa record is 7 field goals in 1 game. Lewis Ward, the kick is up, and Lewis Ward 7 for 7. Unbelievable day. The Ottawa football record in their history. Dean Dorsey, Terry Baker back in '89 and '94 had 7, and Lewis Ward, the rookie kicker, has joined that club. 7 for 7, and he makes it a 6-point ball game. What a dream day.
When you look at the way Lewis Ward's career has started off, it's been just another day at the office.
Here's a guy who wasn't really on the radar in training camp.
Yeah, it seemed like a long shot to make it despite everything he had done in his college career. It's a guy who, by the time he was done at the University of Ottawa, broke the OUA record, Ontario record for career field goals. Gigi's all-time leading scorer.
This game's still not over, though. Frankie Williams will give Jeremiah Masoli the 35-yard line and 39 seconds to work with. Masoli made quick work in his last drive. Again, if they can get it to the touchdown, they can get a touchdown here, take it to the end zone. You still have to get the point after to win.
You may have just seen the graphic. 5 career game-winning drives for Jeremiah Masoli. He's been here before.
Well, we talked about it before this game. Now, these teams play close ball. 8 of the last 10 games, now 9 of the last 11 meetings decided in the last 3 minutes. This one too. And wide open. Oh my! Look out! Jalen Saunders down to the 30, to the 25-yard line. Can you believe this?
We got ourselves a finish, ladies and gentlemen.
Been a monster day for Saunders. 28 seconds to go. Masoli lines up with the gun again. 6 points down. The pump. Masoli now out of traffic. Lawrence can't bring it in, so now time ticking. We've got really 2 plays to get it to the house, to tie it, and then potentially win it with the point after. Who will Masoli go to here, and what is Noel Thorpe setting up?
All right, here's a quick look at the big play. Down the pipe again to Jalen Saunders. A couple of Ottawa defenders kind of over pursued to the point where he caught the ball, allowing him to pick up those yards after the catch.
Look out, and Masoli is sacked. Chaffee shutting the door here, and now it's going to come down to likely the last play. And the Cats, who were near the 25-yard line, are now near the 40. Make that the 36-yard line.
And this one looks to me like another kind of miss. I think John White's got to get over there and take that linebacker. You had two guys taking the linebacker coming up the middle, nobody taking Chaffee on his side of the field.
Red Blacks in prevent. Masoli's going to have to chuck it to the end zone. He's in trouble, and he's going down. And so are the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The boos rain down here. Jeremiah Masoli, back-to-back sacks from the Ottawa Red Blacks, who hang on and win their 4th in a row here in Hamilton. And an absolute dream day. 7th heaven for Lewis Ward. 7 for 7, and his foot decides this ball game. And so too the Ottawa defense.
Yeah, and the Ottawa defense putting an exclamation point on their performance to end this ball game. Closing in Jeremiah Masoli. Noel Thorpe, their defensive coordinator, has to be pleased with their performance.
That was a heck of a finish. Came down to the wire, and Masoli could not get it done near the red zone. And that defense probably could have been the players of the game, but I think there's no doubt who our player of the game is. Brought to you by Nissan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. I don't know how many times we give it to a kicker, partner. We got to give it to this kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Lewis Ward accounting for every one of his team's points on what for him was a perfect day. 7 for 7 on field goals, as long on the day from 47 yards, as he continues his marvelous rookie season here in the Canadian Football League. Kingston, Ontario native Lewis Ward is our Nissan Titan player of the game.
Likely a performer of the week as well. CFL record for most field goals in a game is 8. A rookie, a fresh-faced freshman, has 7 in this game. And the Ottawa Red Blacks hang on to win it 21-15. The Red Blacks go to 4-2. Hamilton drops to 2-4. Ottawa heads to Toronto next week. Hamilton will meet Johnny Manziel and the Alouettes next week in Montreal. Coming up, Stamps and Rough Riders very shortly. Final here, 21-15. Lewis Ward with all the points for the Red Blacks. Here's SportsCenter.